think of the music, think of the movies, think of the culture that surrounds you, and say to yourself, you know, there isn't anything over there that's really all that attractive at the end of the day. The devil wants us to think it's attractive, doesn't he? He wants us to think that's going to be a great thing, but it isn't. And if you want proof of that, just look at the performers themselves. Look where they're all ending up. Nobody wants to be there. Look at the suicide rates with young people, even people as young as you in this country, skyrocketing, right? So you have this great opportunity then. You're in St. Thomas Becket. Oh my goodness, you know, you have this opportunity to learn your faith and to go out and to share it with other people and to be like Campion, to at least try to be like Edmund Campion, to try to be like Anne Lyon, to try to be like Margaret Clitheroe. Anybody know Margaret Clitheroe, right? What girl in this room wouldn't just love to sit down for 10 minutes with Margaret Clitheroe, you know, and hear her story? You know, they say she was pregnant when she died, when she went to Tyburn. They say she was pregnant. In other words, she was willing to give everything for this thing that we say we are, Catholics. She was willing to give everything. I've been to Tyburn. It's very strange. It's in the middle of, it's in London, and it's in the middle of a semaphore with cars just going on all sides of it. It's very dangerous to get to Tyburn. You actually have to run across 4 lanes of very rapidly moving traffic to get to this spot, which is all, you know, sort of, it's got the barricade, like, you know, traffic barricades all the way around it, and there's just a little plaque in the ground. And so if you go there, you got to kneel down in front of this car going all around you, kneeling down to this sacred spot, because it's a holy place where the martyrs of Tyburn died. But it makes you ask the question, you know, do we have what it takes? Do we believe like they believe? Now, you think to yourself when you're a young person, oh, maybe, you know, I'm sure if I'm ever called to be martyred, it's going to be 100 years from now. What if it were right now? Would I have the courage? Now, don't answer this question yes, because it's a very dangerous question. If you say, yes, I have what it takes to be a martyr, the devil's going to zero in on you. You say, yes, I certainly hope and pray that I have what it takes to be a martyr. But knowing what kind of courage and what kind of faith prompted that martyrdom, I want you to, again, just, you know, think now when you leave today, go with your friends and talk about this. What part does this culture play in me making my decision to be anything like Edmund Campion, to be anything like Anne Lyon or Margaret Clitheroe? What part could it possibly play other than to destroy it inside of me, to drive out any urge on my part to be different, to be countercultural, to be Christ-like, to die like Father Michael Pro died, right? These people, these men were against the culture and the times in which they lived. And that's what we have to be. That's what we have to be. And it sounds really, maybe it sounds simplistic. You know what that word means? It sounds like it's too easy. So all I have to do now to save my soul or to even be a saint someday is not listen to pop music? That's it? Well, that is simplistic, but it's a great start. Because if you take that noise out, and if you take that influences out, and those influences out, you know, you learn from your catechism. You got to avoid the near occasions of sin. Can you think of a single band right now on top of your head? I hope you don't know of any, but let's say some of you that do know. Can you think of a single band whose lyrics now, we know we already discussed a little bit on the music, what's wrong with the music itself, whose lyrics, at least at one point in the album or in the CD, would not be considered an occasion of sin? There's my girl. Okay, moving right along before you think of one. No, I spent years in my high school years bringing home, you know, little songs for my mom to listen to. Mom, listen to this one. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'd find the best song on the CD and listen to, you know, but they never passed with her. But thank God they didn't. But the point is, turn on. What's a better way of putting this then? I don't encourage anybody. I wouldn't want any of you to watch MTV. You know what MTV is? Old man question. Okay. But if you turn that on, there is nothing on that channel that plays for more than a minute that would not be considered either an occasion of sin or an actual sin to participate in or to watch, right? I mean, that's pretty much standard. Most people, even most of your Christian Protestant groups recognize there's nothing on MTV that any young person should belong to, right? So then if you think of put into context, what is MTV? music, television. It is the top of the whole rock and roll world. It literally goes to every country, or just about every country in the world. It is rock and roll. It's the face of rock music, right? Pop music. Let's use that word. Pop music. And if you think about how degenerate it is and how in league with Satan it certainly is, and then you think what part of that industry, which has been waging war against what we believe and what our parents believe since the beginning, what part of that is not an offense against Our Lady or against to our Lord? So these are the little things you can think about as far as the music is concerned. And a couple got out the wall there, got over the wall. So so anyway, if you're honest with yourself, and it may take a few years, I know it did with me until I finally woke up one day. If you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that all it does in every single case, from country to Marilyn Manson, it puts an obstacle in front of your spiritual life. That's all it does, one way or another. Now you can find some little yahoo like Garth Brooks that maybe had a tune that was okay. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I'm talking about for the most part. Are there exceptions here and there? Maybe, but that's playing with fire. It's playing with fire. So we have to. Does somebody have a question?
I wanted to ask: is there an audio tape that you could recommend that would define the physiological, what music does to you physiologically? You know.
Oh, there's a lot of it. There's a lot out there. There's books. Yeah. There's books like Dr. David Noble's The Marxist Minstrels, which really is very interesting because it shows how the Soviets used music, folk music, to sort of further their agenda as well. And there's so much out there now. There's one thing good about some of the work that the Protestant groups are doing now in the field of culture, or even culture wars. Michael Jones has done some good work on that. Dionysus Rising, I think, it's very, very good. There's so much evidence, though, that's not the hardest thing to, as far as I'm concerned, the hardest thing to convince young people. The hardest thing to do is to make them face the fact, or to at least allow for the possibility that there is no music in rock music or pop music that can be acceptable in a Catholic home. That's the hardest thing, because then so many young people spend years and years trying to find the stuff that's okay, and gradually you're numb. You're like that piece of meat. You get numbed. You're not shocked. You're not surprised anymore. When I was a kid, abortion wasn't even legal, right? Something dramatic happened in this society. Now they have homosexual marriage. It's going so fast. There is international indoctrination going on right now. That's a full-scale assault, all-out war against Christ the King, against the Catholic Church. How are they doing it? How are they spreading these ideas so quickly to the point where no one's resisting? In my opinion, it's the music first. It's the music industry that's done it. Music has always been used in revolutions. And for 40 years, we've had this musical expression in our lives that's inescapable, that's an assault against Our Lady, that's an assault against purity, that's an assault against the moral theology of the Church. It only makes sense that after a while, we're going to lose whole generations, as we now are, to this cultural revolution. So that's really, I think you guys, your day ends at 3. I'm just going to wrap it up right there real quick. If anybody has any questions, fine. Yeah?
I read your book.
Well, again, you can analyze the beat in that thing, thousands and thousands, 60,000 people doing it at every football game, get everyone to do the same thing, right? And so from a musicology point of view, you can look at the syncopation of the music itself in that song. But then, of course, you just look at the man who sang it. Freddie Mercury died of AIDS. He's a homosexual. They were militant homosexuals. And is it in the lyrics where they say, what we're talking about actually is the homosexual? No, it's not in there. But everything that he stood for was about homosexual rights. I mean, that's what he was. He was a musician first. I mean, he was a homosexual first, a musician second. And so you can see some of these early people, that's one of the great, really sad things. You see traditional Catholic families, they drive 2 hours to Mass, they homeschool, they find a school like this, and then they let their young people listen to Bob Dylan and the Beatles and the Rolling Stones at home. Because, well, at least it's not Marilyn Manson or some Nine Inch Nails freak, right?